20 when he skipped it on 16 and went in for a hole one. How great was that? And that was in on Wednesday, right? I believe that was the Wednesday practice round.
Yeah.
1996 U.S. Open champion. Always nice enough to give us some of his time. Steve Jones joins us down the right to the guest line. Steve, what's going on, man? How are you?
Oh, man, just got home a little bit ago and turned on the TV and kind of getting caught up on what's going on.
So how's your game? What's the latest on your game, Steve?
Oh, it's always tough. I'm still trying to recoup from my knee surgery in January. It's not going like I want, but hopefully I'll get there and still play 8 or 9, 10 tournaments this year.
Good. We want to see you out there. I know you enjoy playing out there, and we want to get your take on Augusta, and what are some of your memories of the course itself, the challenges first, and then maybe a good story that maybe you have in regards to some success you've had there, on a particular hole or what have you.
Yeah, I mean, boy, I tell you, conditions are everything there. As you've seen the scores over the years, when it's wet and not much wind, you got a lot of low scores. And then when you are windy and firm conditions, like they used to do it quite a bit, keep them a little firmer, it was definitely a lot harder. So, yeah, it just depends on that condition. It makes a big difference.
Just let me ask you in regards to that, when it's windy and the rain is, it's raining the night before, how does that affect the course?
Yeah, I mean, it just definitely makes the course wider, and I think it's more receptive on some of the holes. But these days, a lot of guys hit so many wedges, it seems like that spins off the green when you get too firm or too wet, that it'll take a couple skips and just spin way back. And sometimes the firmness helps a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, I think the guys this morning got a little bit of a break, and now definitely with the wind blowing. I always hope for equal conditions the first 2 days, because so many times it seems like 25% or more of the time, the guys that played in the morning, it didn't blow, and in the afternoon it's 3-shot difference, and the next day they get the wind again, and then it quits in the afternoon, and all of a sudden you're 10 under and they're 1 under, 6 or 8 shots difference in 2 days. So that's a big factor, that luck of the draw, and we always used to say if we got on Tiger's schedule, if we were playing in the morning, we felt like, oh, we got a good break, because it just seemed like for 15 or 20 years, every time he was in the morning, it would be great conditions. And if he was in the afternoon, it'd be good conditions. But if you're opposite him, you got hosed.
Yeah. I'm just interested. They talk about the wind, which has been fairly windy this afternoon, but they were talking about, even though you think it's blowing right to left, once it gets above the tree line, it's blowing left to right or what have you. How do you know actually what direction the wind is blowing, or is a certain strategy you used to make sure you knew exactly how you were playing the wind? You keep it low or hit it higher, or how'd you figure that out?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't, and you see what happened to guys on 12 that hit it in the water, or 15, they knock it way over and hit it in the water that's on 16, like Fitzpatrick almost did. But yeah, sometimes it's I just remember on 12, a lot of times that's a 9-iron or an 8-iron, and next thing you know, you're like, man, I need to pound a 7-iron to get there, and then the wind quits and you're in the back bunker or the bushes.
Steve, I've got a question that you can enlighten our listening audience. When you walk that course, tell the audience, A, how difficult it really is to walk, because I don't think a lot of people understand how up and down that course is, how hilly it is, and how it changes everything.
Yeah, you're right about that. I just remember it seemed like every time I played there, doesn't matter how good a shape I was in, I would get shin splints after 2 or 3 days.
Wow.
And you're just, and when we played, we were standing up a lot longer, because in between every hole, you had 50 to 200 people trying to get autographs, and you couldn't give them to everybody. But it would, 5 or 10 minutes, almost every hole you're giving autographs. and then they stopped that policy, I think somewhere in the either late 90s or early 2000s. And once you got on the golf course side, there was no autographs allowed. And it really, really helped those guys on their practice rounds, because some of those practice rounds were, 6 hours plus.
Mm-hmm. And with that, Steve, was that for you the first time you played the Masters in a tournament situation? Was that the challenge for you, or was it just managing the course, or just getting used to, if you could, the greens and what have you? What was the greatest challenge for you when you stepped on the first time?
Yeah, it was definitely. It was just amazing how much hillier it is in person. A lot of the holes didn't seem that hard. And then you got in a tournament condition and maybe the wind's a different direction and it's firm or it's too wet, or all of a sudden you hit it in the wrong spot and you make a double and you're just like, oh man, I thought I could shoot 5 under today and I'm 5 over, But that you kind of want to feel like you can play well. Not that you will, but it's gettable. It really is gettable if you hit it where you're supposed to and kind of use some slopes to your advantage and take your green lights when the green lights come and the red lights when the red lights, and middle of the greens, which I called yellow lights. You try to do that, and it really helps you. You just don't want to short side yourself and make those big numbers.
Steve Jones is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. Steve, when you won the U.S. Open in 1996 for the major win, and you know that you're going to be playing in a tournament against the best golfers in the world when you play those majors, how do you stay cool? How is it? Do you have a plan that you use to keep your brain on a level playing field? How does that happen? Because golly, the crowds and the top players are all right there breathing down your neck.
Yeah, sometimes it's pretty difficult to do that. I always felt like the best players in the world, I mean, pretty much every single one of them, they just think better. They know what they're doing in their mind, and then they do it. They don't let the outside stuff bother them. It's like they feed on it. Tiger feeds on the crowd. He feeds on the excitement. It's like a high for him. Nicholas, all the best players. Then you start creeping down the list, to Trevino's and Gary Player and different guys, Sarah's, and that they love the crowd too. But Trevino obviously always loved it. But then you get down farther, and then that seems like the farther down you go on the list, and I was way down there. But it just wasn't. If I was playing well, I really enjoyed it. But when I was scuffling, it was kind of a grind, and that's going to happen. But it wasn't like I needed that in my life all the time, and that's what I live for. And I think there's not a lot of guys with that top 5% that play, like a John Rahm and, DeChambeau or DJ or whoever. They are really focused in. They're in their prime, obviously, and it really helps when you're in your prime, and then you're thinking well and not afraid, and then you're enjoying it and embracing it. You're going to have some good outcomes.
Steve, you talk about the thinking and the strategy. Is the Masters one of the more mentally exhausting side of it as far as all the things that you just kind of described? Or if it's not, if you think of all the majors, the British Open or the Open and the U.S. Open and the Masters, if it's not, where would it rank?
Yeah, I think, being Augusta National has its own problems, but it's the same course every year. It's like, and when you make a mistake, you go, I know better than to do that. The British Open jumps around, and it's links course, could be windy, rainy, whatever. It's just different type of golf, U.S. Open and PGA are kind of similar. They get the old traditional courses most of the time, tighter fairways, big rough, quick green. So it's kind of fun that, the majors are different. And that's what I always enjoyed, going over to the British and playing different courses. I wasn't a big fan of playing the same course over and over again, but Augusta is one of those that was like, wow, yeah, this place over and over again. Doesn't matter how well you know it. I think Tiger won 6 now,
Yes.
Yes.
5 or 6. Yeah, I mean, so he's been out there for 20 some years, and he's only won 6 times. You think he would have won 12 or 13? I mean, it's a perfect golf course for him.
Steve, we appreciate you making some time for us as you always do. Should be a lot of fun. I know you would love
2
to be
minutes.
out there, but I'm sure with some, with a surgery on your knee, it probably wouldn't be nice walking up and down Augusta National.
Yeah, I had fond memory. A lot of people ask me, "What's your best finish at Augusta?" And I always tell them I was in 3rd place with 9 holes to go.
Wow.
You're right there.
That was my.
Unbelievable.
I had 9 holes to go, unfortunately.
Steve, good stuff as always, man. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Enjoy. It's going to be a great weekend.
Should be. Let's hope so. Steve Jones, 1996 U.S. Open champion. He's
1 minute,
recovering from
1
from a little knee surgery, but he'll be back out there, as he said. He wants to play in hopefully up to a dozen tournaments on the Champions. He's brought to you today by All City Towing. If you're looking to make a move for this year, they are hiring, and they pay well. They have great benefits, and all you got to do is just go to their website, allcitytowing.com, and just search careers. That's right, allcitytowing.com, search careers. All City Towing. Statewide service, and they answer your call 24/7, allcitytowing.com. Coming up, we need a contestant to challenge one of the beautiful Twin Peaks girls from the Camelback location. That's where we're at today. We'll take the 5th caller at 602-260-9191.